We're back. Remember us? I'm Joe Bianca. I got a different title now. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds, which sounds very fancy and actually is pretty fancy. But I'll leave it to John to talk about our Eclipse Awards here on Rail Talk.
3 Eclipse Awards, 2 restraining orders, 1 great show.
All right, 5 seconds into the first show, we're already off the rails on Rail Talk. John forgot to say his name, but that's John Green. He's an Eclipse Award-winning owner and general manager of DJ State, two-time Eclipse Award winner. I'm also an Eclipse Award winner, and we're excited to be back and to bring everybody into the fold here. We want to have a loose, fun conversation show. You can follow us at Rail-Talk on YouTube. You can follow us Rail_Talk on Twitter. We're going to have a really good time because we're not afraid to bring people onto the show who might not be industry insiders or might not be official spokespeople of the game. We think everybody in this sport who bets on it, who watches it, has a valuable opinion. So just write in the comments your ideas. We'll debate you. We'll have you on. We're really excited to start this. And John's beard, I think, is because he's been like wandering the podcast wilderness like Tom Hanks and Castaway, and he's finally back on the show. So we wanted to start and just talk a little bit quickly about the Royal Ascot meet, which happened last week. I wanted John to wear his monocle and top hat, but John, you said it's in the shop.
It's in the wash. It's in the wash. I'm sorry. I was wearing it too much role playing and had to send it to the dry cleaners. We won't get into that. That's for another show.
No. We're gonna wait a little bit before we get into John's personal life and his browser history and all that. But one of the big stories from Royal Ascot was Frankie Dettori. It was his last Royal Ascot meet. He's retiring supposedly at the end of 2023. I'm always skeptical when these top athletes say they're retiring. Like, let's see. But he's got the farewell tour going. He won a couple of races. He finishes with 81 Royal Ascot wins, which is second all time compared to behind Lester Piggott, who had 116. And John, he's one of those guys. To me, he's the last of a dying breed of like celebrity jockeys, like household names who people write stories about in mainstream newspapers. What do you say you'll remember most about Frankie Dettori's career?
Well, I think for the most part, you have to, when you hear the name Dettori, you think of, some big wins, some Breeders' Cup wins, but you always think of the flying leap off the horse every time he's in the winner's circle. And he's been doing it for years, and God bless him. He's got the legs and the energy to still do it on the 80th and 81st time this past, week at Ascot. I don't think he's missing a beat. I don't think he's slowed down any, and he probably could ride. But, Joe, you'll appreciate this in like 20 years when you reach 40. You start to ache, you start to feel it. And I think the fact that Frankie and his family have decided that this is going to be his last year of riding, I think he's going out the way he should. I really liked when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar announced that he was going to be retiring at the end of his respective career, and the entire season, every single place that he went to, the home team paid homage to him, as well they should, because of the skyhook and what he brought to the industry. I think you can say the same thing for Frankie, that he revolutionized the industry by coming in and doing the leap, and also by being fearless and riding the way he did. He rides almost like an Ortiz over there, which is very unusual. Usually they're a lot more kinder, gentler, riding style over in Europe, and he was a little bit more reckless, do I say? But he added a lot of spice every time he rode a race and every time he won a race, and that's what I'll remember him for.
Yeah, and he brought so much energy to the game. Like, I think that's a big thing, too. And that's why he was a household name. And he made an interesting point. I read an article about him retiring. He says he doesn't want to be Cristiano Ronaldo, where one moment you're a superstar and the next moment you're on the bench in the World Cup. So I think he's trying to go out on a high note, which he did. One more thing I wanted to bring up from Ascot. And John, you can relate to this. We saw George Weaver win a race last week with Crimson Advocate, won the Queen Mary. And it's always great to see those U.S. connections winning. I also was particularly great because Cindy Weaver, George's wife, was in the winner's circle, and she had suffered a severe brain injury last summer at Saratoga, and she got pinned under a horse. So it was great to see her smiling in the winner's circle. I thought that was a real feel-good story. But John, I think you can talk about this. I thought it was such a big deal when Tepin won at Royal Ascot, and I think it emboldens people to try and make that trip, which you guys have. What's it like as an owner with that kind of dream to see American Connections win over there?
I think like everything else, the world is getting smaller. And just like Charles Appleby brought horses over the past couple of years and dominated, American racing at all levels, especially at the grade 1 level, I think that people are starting to see that it's not American racing and European racing and there's nothing in between. There's a lot of horses that can cross over. There's a lot of horses that can cross over and be athletic enough to handle the undulating courses over in Europe and have the speed to be able to just outbreak a lot of the horses, which Wesley Ward has done for years there. And then on the flip side, there's been a lot of success of Euros coming here and eating our lunch, quite frankly, especially in the juvenile turf races, where they've had 4 or 5 more starts on different turf courses, and they're just more used to the fans and the type of racing that we have here. So I really love the fact that there's more and more horses going back and forth, and I think that's going to help us as an industry. I think it's also going to help from a genetic standpoint, because now you're going to understand and relate to a lot more pedigrees, and therefore we're going to bring in maybe some additional gene pool by having some of the Euros come here, race, and possibly stay here.
Yeah, no, and it's great to see more and more intertwined participation throughout the racing world. And it was a great meeting. Shout out to Frankie for going out on a high note. Shout out to George Weaver and all the other super impressive winners. We're going to talk more American racing next time. I promise. We're not trying to be something we're not. I mean, we would have if John had the top hat ready, but without that, we're kind of posing a little bit here. But we're going to talk a lot more American racing. Like I said, we'll interview all different kinds of people: jockeys, trainers, owners, handicappers, commenters. So if you have comments, if you have any thoughts, just pop them in down there in the comments section. We'll bring you on. We're going to have a segment called Pull Up, where we ask you to pull up and talk to us one-on-one, one-on-two, whatever it is. We're excited to bring all of you into the conversation because you deserve it. You support this sport. You got a voice. We want to hear from you. So that's it for episode 0. It's like the Star Wars, like the prequel to the rest of the Rail Talk episodes. We call it episode 0 of Rail Talk. Thanks for watching. Follow us at Rail-Talk on YouTube, Rail_Talk on Twitter. I'm sure we have an Instagram account too. It's all up and running. Go visit our website, railtalkmedia.com. You can put your email address in the bar. You'll get the episodes sent to you as soon as they drop. The first one's coming July 7th. And we can't wait to see all of you and talk to all of you. Thanks for joining us.